Welcome. You're listening to the Lorne Epstein Show. I'll be with you in just a minute. As my guest, I invite you to sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. First, a word from our generous and good-looking sponsors. You don't want to miss Beyond HR Forum, being held June 11th and 12th, 2020 in Amsterdam, where you will meet inspiring, forward-looking, and impactful leaders in human resources. Once again, the team at Beyond has selected a great venue, the historic Kramhauthal. It reflects their values of designing a unique space and atmosphere that brings forth intimacy, collaboration, inspiration, and partnership with HR thought leaders from leading companies around the world. The forum moves beyond the current HR to guide you along a journey that progressive leaders in HR are invited to embark upon. Join remarkable guests as they share their insights on how to make humanity the ultimate value to organizations, societies, and the world. This is more than just an event. It's a one-of-a-kind opportunity to inspire your thinking to go beyond and reach the unreachable. For more information and to register, please visit www.beyondhrforum.com. Last year, I met the folks at Tribe.ai. I spoke to co-founder Naomi Davidson, who just blew me away with her origin story. She grew up in a poor and unstable home, didn't graduate from high school, and pretty much raised herself, doing the best she could. Eventually, she got a job and put herself through community college. Wouldn't you know it, she graduated from Berkeley and got a master's degree in mechanical engineering from MIT. I love personal stories like this. As the global head of strategy at LinkedIn, Naomi shared her methods with others, which was a huge success. She and her partner Thomas are paying it forward so others can succeed in life. They built a learning system in partnership with Stanford and Wharton universities. They know what it's like to create something extraordinary from nothing. Tribe's latest development leads your team through daily, personalized micro-coaching. With an 85% adoption rate, this mobile application has users saying, wow. Get your free month of Tribe today. Go to trybe.ai/Lorne, L-O-R-N-E, to receive this fantastic deal. Listen to a few of their users to hear for yourself.
Hi, my name is Rebecca Mwonsa. I'm a fourth-year medical student applying to OBGYN residency, and what I love most about Tribe is that it's not magic. It's a coaching tool that empowers you to coach yourself. Even after the course is done, it's like a sharp knife that allows you to sculpt your life perfectly with the vision you intend. But it's your vision, your hand, your time, your sweat.
Hi, my name is Brenda. I'm a director of engineering and program management at Outward. Tribe forces you to think immediate at what you can actually accomplish within the next 24 hours. Therefore, Tribe acts as a guide and helps you map out small, realistic steps in your journey towards the greater change you're aspiring, and helps you to realize and acknowledge your small wins and celebrate them.
Hi, I'm your host, Lorne Epstein. You're listening to The Lorne Epstein Show here on 96.7 FM, Arlington, Virginia. Today, we are going to talk about artificial intelligence, which is an interesting word in and of itself because it implies that the intelligence is not real. But I mean, maybe that's a philosophical debate. We're going to talk about artificial intelligence and how that is having an impact in the workspace. About a month or so ago, I was at an HR tech hackathon that one of my guests hosted here in Arlington, and I learned so much about what's coming out in the HR tech space that I wanted to share it with you. So with me today, I have my illustrious guest, very special guest, Al Naqvi. Al, did I say that right?
Yeah.
Okay, Al Naqvi is a pioneer in the field of applied artificial intelligence in business and strategy. He's also the CEO of a very new organization called the American Institute of Artificial Intelligence. His goal is to democratize artificial intelligence responsibly. He has developed a body of knowledge for the field, culminating in the development of a dozen courses in applied artificial intelligence. Welcome to the show, Al.
Thank you, and thank you for inviting me.
You're welcome. And I think it's kind of funny that your first name is Al, which, when you look at it, is really AI.
That's why I use fonts very carefully, because sometimes it does happen. People call me AI Naqvi, and I have to go with, no. This is actually Al Naqvi. So,
that's funny.
It's fancy, though.
I know. Would have been good.
I didn't notice it until I was looking at it and thinking, oh, that is AI. And also with me on the show is the gentleman who hosted the HR Tech event, is Enrique Rubio. And Enrique, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
He currently works as a human resource specialist at the Inter-American Development Bank, also known as the IADB. He is the founder of Hacking HR, which deals with issues at the intersection of technology and human resources. Enrique is an electronic engineer and was a Fulbright.
Yeah.
That's awesome. My wife was a Fulbright, and we actually just had a woman on the show who's here in D.C. talking to the Fulbright group.
Wow, fantastic.
Yeah. Enrique is now very interested in the digital transformation of the workplace in HR. Welcome.
Thank you.
So I think when people think of AI, they have a whole bunch of different reference points, right? They may think of HAL from 2000 Space Odyssey. They may think of their car or their phone. And there's other ways. So how would you frame it, Al? What would you define as artificial intelligence?
At this point, it is really about improving general functions that we do by using artificial intelligence to bring in the cognitive side in addition to physical side that we have. So for a very long time, we have been automating the physical part of a human, which is, for example, when you move your car, you fly an airplane, when you dig a hole, you use machines. But now on the cognitive side, we are introducing improvements so that simple functions that we do, and sometimes even more complex functions that we do, that can be automated, and that work transferred over to machines instead of humans doing it themselves. And that increases productivity, that increases efficiency. But the whole concept of killer robots and all that, or self-aware machines is, I should say, it's not there as far as we know. It could be in the works and may stay in the works for 50 years or so. But, at this point, our focus is on automating cognitive functions.
Okay, so to be more specific and also, I think, in more lay terms, when you say artificial intelligence, you're talking about software that goes into machines that helps machines take some of the cognitive thinking function away from human beings.
Right, but it also can imply that cognitive function can be combined with a physical machine, such as your autonomous car, that moves you from point A to point B. It's a combination of the physical robot combined with its cognitive functions so that it knows that how to drive and how to get you from point A to point B. That means that, so it's not just a software, it's a combination of a physical machine as well as a cognitive part.
So is there always a machine when they were talking about AI?
It would have to be, because that's really what machine is. Mm-hmm. If you think about that, what we're doing is we transfer physical part outside of human and through machines. Now we're taking out literally the mental part in some ways and transferring it over to machines. So it is, if I have an AI, it will always manifest itself through in a machine.
Right. And so and we're going to talk about more about kind of the fundamentals of AI and where it came from. But Enrique, so, when you think of AI, what comes to mind?
The sort of the automation and the sort of the outsource of different functions in the workplace. Let me give you an example. And going back to the point of AI being in a machine. Now we're talking about recruitment, employee recruitment using AI, and the way AI is powering the new approach to recruitment is that it's easier and faster and more efficient for a machine to compare thousands and thousands of resumes with the specific description of a position, a job posting that you may have in a company, and find commonalities between the job description and what people are describing, themselves, the way they are describing themselves in the resumes. So when I think about AI, I not only think about the technology itself, but the applications of AI in the workplace. recruitment is one of them, but there are several others. Machine learning is a stage of AI, and the way we use machine learning today is by, helping people design personalized programs in the workplace for.
Well, hang on, because you've introduced a new term. I want to make sure that folks are clear on it. So what do we mean when we say machine learning?
Well, it's just the capacity of computer programs. Again, it's all in machines, but it's the capacity of computer programs to sort of make decisions based on data. And computers that are, I want to say, learning how to understand that data and make decisions based on that data.
Mm-hmm. And they're learning based on human feedback.
Well, they are learning based on...
Because there's got to be something they're comparing it to, right? The learning is based on a mistake, and then the mistake is then...
It doesn't have to be a mistake. It's just data that is coming in from different areas, different sources. It doesn't necessarily have to be a mistake. It can be, your employee data. And so you have systems that collect all employee data. That data goes into a software, which is machine learning, or a software that is based on machine learning. And that software makes decisions on what's best, for example, in terms of a health plan for an employee based on the data that you are putting into that software. So the advantage of using AI or machine learning, which is some sort of AI, is that it allows you to be more, for humans, it allows them to sort of outsource the administration of processes that can be done by machines. And then humans would have, hopefully in the years to come, more space to do more sort of creative work and more, meaningful, what I try to call meaningful work.
Sure.
Whereas all these sort of repetitive day-to-day operation, they can be outsourced or they can be put into the hands of a machine. And the reason why I use the example of recruitment is because today there are dozens of softwares that are powered by AI doing recruitment, and they have proven to be more accurate to make decisions than humans are. Ultimately, there's going to be a human involved. So far, right now, there are humans involved in interview process and final selection of candidates. I think that might change in the near future, but so far, AI is helping these recruiters to sort of curate the resumes that they are getting for a particular position, so that a recruiter doesn't have to review 1,000 resumes anymore, but just focus on the 10 that are very much aligned with the position that is being posted. So that's one of the applications of AI.
We'll talk about that because that's something that I've being in talent acquisition for a long time, I have a insight into that. We'll talk about it in a second. So tell me, getting kind of like what is the big challenge, the big problem now in artificial intelligence that you see? And also a little background about the association.
Okay. So challenges are technological challenges, and then challenges are social, political, economic challenges. So from the technical revolution, technical challenges are based upon how technology functions. And yes, we are early at this point. We're in early stages of solving complex mathematical problems and related to artificial intelligence. There are a lot of things at this point that we cannot do, but we are trying to solve those problems. Yet, on the social, political, and economic side, we have already technologies making an impact. So we need to go and start making changes in terms of how we approach our political structure, how we approach, social, and how we design our economy, how we train our people. All of those things need to be worked out. It would have a significant impact on law, on the liability side. All of those problems are, for example, autonomous cars are coming out now, right? So how does that impact law? How does that impact liability? All of those problems are immediate problems, and they're not technological problems. Yeah. So they need to be worked out. Now, in terms of American Institute of Artificial Intelligence, it was formed to focus on these type of problems and to train people to develop that perspective that it's not just about technology. It's also about, for business people, for a common person to understand what that change means for them. and how their lives will change and their careers would change and how they need to become smart about it. And I give this analogy that go back to 1995, 96 of the internet. So, 1996, internet was coming in. Some people understood what this would mean, but a lot of people didn't have any idea that how large and how impactful this change will be. And that was something that we are experiencing again now in 2017. It's, next 20 years will redefine a lot of things for us. So we need to, as a society and as business people, as individuals, as professionals, we need to start getting prepared for that. So our institute focuses a lot on that side.
So I want to just kind of break it down. I know we all know about these self-driving cars, which I think it's terrific. I mean, I'd love to not have to drive my car and not have the risks associated with being a driver. How is it that you foresee, given that you're in this, you're leading this group, how is it that artificial intelligence, in your mind, should interact with us as human beings on a policy level and, like, for instance, law? Like, who takes the risk? Like, when a car accident happens and artificial intelligence is involved, let's suss that out a little bit.
As a society, we need to come together and put our intellectual efforts to try to solve that problem. So there is no single clear answer for that, who's responsible for if an accident happens. What we do need to do is to come together and start thinking about these things now, not after 10 years that things start happening. And we have a tendency to do that.
Yeah.
So
how are we going to do that? How are we going to, because with most of technology that's kind of approached us, there's been like a certain distance between the technology and really having a negative effect on human beings with some things, right? I mean, cell phones, not so much, computers, not so much, but self-driving cars are clearly going to be right up against people. Right, there was already a car accident with Tesla.
Right.
And so what do you think should be the outcome and how should we process that? Because then I want to talk about, what do we do in business?
So just think about this. You're thinking of autonomous cars, right? Expand it to include that if you're a developer who's developing a building, let's say at Tyson's Corner, Washington, D.C., New York, now you have to start thinking about, because your building will stay there for 50 to 100 years, right? How do you design parking for autonomous cars, keeping that perspective now? If you manage an organization that deals with organ donations, right? So organs that people use, and so a lot of those organs come from car accidents, right?
Right.
And if you have autonomous cars, which will make us very much safe, but we need to start thinking about what would happen to organ donors who, because not many people will die from car accidents, which is a good thing, but imagine the impact these things have on society. At one time, for example, when texting came out, it was a fantastic thing, right? People can communicate faster. But then we found out that about 30% or 35% or so accidents are happening while people are texting each other. So then, 10 years later or so, technology firms come out and say, well, we will put, we will put a function that if you're moving in a car, you can say that you will not receive text. But that thinking could have saved lives if we would have done that thinking 10 years before. And for example, what you said is absolutely right, that when these technological revolutions happen, and we have evidence for that now, scientific evidence, that it takes society a long time to understand the ramifications of that. Great Depression and then also Great Recession, for example, we were packaging this risk, selling it, spreading it all over the world because we had the technology to do that. So then when bad things happen, news spreads faster, the whole risk appetite of the world changes, and flash crash, another example of that in our financial markets, in which, stock market trading, automated trading impacts these and can induce these flash crashes. These are the major consequences of these technological revolutions. So what's needed is preemptive management of these changes, not after the fact, not after we have lost significant part of our manufacturing jobs. And 30, 40 years later, we now complain that, so many of our people they don't have jobs.
We're going to take a quick break, and we're going to come back and talk more about this. My name is Lorne Epstein. You're listening to the Lorne Epstein Show here on 96.7 FM, Arlington, Virginia. We'll be back in just a second. You don't want to miss Beyond HR Forum, being held June 11th and 12th, 2020 in Amsterdam, where you will meet inspiring, forward-looking, and impactful leaders in human resources. Once again, the team at Beyond has selected a great venue, the historic Kramhauthal. It reflects their values of designing a unique space and atmosphere that brings forth intimacy, collaboration, inspiration, and partnership with HR thought leaders from leading companies around the world. The forum moves beyond the current HR to guide you along a journey that progressive leaders in HR are invited to embark upon. Join remarkable guests as they share their insights on how to make humanity the ultimate value to organizations, societies, and the world. This is more than just an event. It's a one-of-a-kind opportunity to inspire your thinking to go beyond and reach the unreachable. For more information and to register, please visit www.beyondhrforum.com. Welcome back to the Lorne Epstein Show. I'm your host, Lorne Epstein, and you're listening to 96.7 FM. Today, I'm talking with my guests, Al Naqvi, who is the CEO of the American Institute of Artificial Intelligence, and Enrique Rubio, who is an HR specialist at the Inter-American Development Bank. Enrique, we're talking about how companies, people, Al has said several times, we have to come together. So what does that mean to you, given that you're, at some level on the front lines of dealing with people and technology? What do we do? I mean, what are people supposed to do when they hear the show and they're like, okay, we're thinking about putting some AI in. So what?
Well, Al said something really interesting a while ago, and that's something that I want to bring back, which is the technological revolution is pretty much about technology, but it's not all about technology. We need to consider that a change in the way we see the world, in the way we operate, in the way we work, and ultimately a change in mindsets. It's a big piece in this process. And I want to tell you one example of something that I read recently. I think it was yesterday, how the federal retraining programs for coal miners in West Virginia and Pennsylvania are failing because they have less than 20% sign-up rates for those programs, because a lot of these people think that those coal jobs are going to come back to the U.S. But
the federal government thinks they're coming back, but the workers don't.
Well, my point is that regardless of whether they're coming back or not, or whether they're going to be on machines or not, we need to do a lot of thinking about the type of jobs that we're going to have in the future, the type of workforce that we're going to have in the future, and the type of skills that we are going to need in the future.
Right.
And the reason is just because even if the coal jobs come back to the U.S., there are going to be robots doing that work. And if we have self-driving cars, then less truck drivers are going to have a job in the future. And they're going to have to do something else because they will still be out there. And this is going to happen for a lot of different type of jobs. The financial industry is going to be very much hit by the technological revolution, the accounting industry, the marketing industry. So all of those industries are going to be very impacted by the technological revolution. So the question is what we do today as companies, organizations, and individuals. So from the individual perspective, I'd say that perhaps the first thing is that we need to be more open-minded, that this will happen, and I think it is unstoppable. I wish we were ready or more prepared than we are today for the impacts of the technological revolution, but we are not there yet, and we need to start massively talking about this, at the company level and at the government level. So that's, so at the individual level, being more open-minded and start getting ready for what's going to happen, retraining ourselves, learning the type of skills that are going to be needed in the future.
So that's a good question because we don't know. Right?
We do know some of those.
All right, so tell me, what do people need to be? I get what you guys are saying is that things have changed. They're permanently changed. This is happening, like it or not. Right?
Well,
what is it? how do people now have to think? What would be the thinking?
There is a study about the World Economic Forum recently they started talking about the fourth industrial revolution, which is the digital revolution. And they talked about 10 skills that people needed in 2020 to remain relevant. And if you read those, if you sort of understand those skills, a lot of them don't have anything to do with technology. They have to do with how we use technology and how we take advantage of using technology. For example, critical thinking, negotiating, collaborating with others, creativity. Those are the type of things that the workplaces of the future are going to be looking for. Because if you have been in the workforce for a long time and all you've been doing is sort of repetitive administrative work, I mean, you're going to be replaced by a machine, sooner or later. But if you can sort of connect the dots of what your technological applications are doing in the workplace with the business needs and, how to connect those things to sort of link them to the business outcomes, then you are going to be more relevant and more sort of needed in the workplace. So there's a lot of work that we have to do at the individual level, but there's also a lot of work that has to be done at the corporate level. And I believe that in that sense, a lot of corporations, companies are not even talking about this. Al mentioned before the political and economic and social implications, but there are also some ethical implications. What's going to happen when we start working side by side with robots that can make decisions by themselves?
If there's a mistake, is my boss going to fire the robot?
I don't know.
Hey,
that's a good question.
Pointing to that.
You blame them.
So Al, what were you going to say about this? When we came back? I mean, I'm interested in how is it that now we have to think? And before we, forgive me, I'm jumping a little bit, but what were the 10 things?
I mean, there are negotiating, working with, collaborating, critical thinking, the capacity to make decisions, and there are 6 more that I can't really remember at this moment.
And what was the reference so that people can go?
That's the World Economic Forum, the fourth industrial revolution.
There you go.
So Enrique is absolutely right. Now, start thinking about, let's just go back to, once again, because we have an example, a recent example from the internet revolution. Mm-hmm. That made us change, the third industrial revolution, so-called. So think about this, that if you're a plumber, if you're an electrician, did you give up your profession? No, you started using Angie's List. You wanted to make sure that you were there. If you're a newspaper, did you stop publishing news? Did the appetite of consumers for news change? No. You changed it to a blog. You went online. You stopped printing paper newspaper, right? So what happens is when technological revolutions happen, you have to readjust and realign what you do with the new technology. And that's the learning part. And it doesn't come easy. It's not like, you can just, say to yourself, I'm just going to wait for 10 years and see how things develop. Blockbuster Video, big company, didn't see Netflix coming, and they could have been the Netflix. They could have made investment. Borders Bookstore, Barnes and Noble.
Yeah, I mean, there's examples,
Amazon, right?
Totally.
So
all of the big,
so these
the
are
big
large
railroad companies, could have been the car companies. So I get that. What I want to hear from you guys is, what do we have to be looking for? Because, specifically, how can folks who are listening, meet the challenge? You've got your eyes on the horizon. Sure. What's coming?
Sure. First thing is that you have to have that will for realignment. You're realigning your career. If you don't have the will, then obviously, you can sit on the side and wait for things to happen. So that will is number one. Number two is start learning. Start learning about artificial intelligence. That does not mean that you have to become a programmer. A lot of times people say, well, every time you learn about technology, you have to become an engineer or a programmer. No, you don't, or a machine learning expert. You have to start learning about the application. So if you're number 3, own the change, meaning don't wait for someone else, a recent graduate who has experience in this, to come in and into your department. If you're a marketing department, accounting department, a finance department, a human resources department. So for a young person to come in and tell you that this is how you should be running your department, if you're an executive, you have been running that department for a long time, you should know what's up on the horizon, what applications, technologies are coming in, so you can own that technological change. And that can only happen if you learn and you stay ahead of what this technological change means for you and your department. And that's exactly what we do. That's what Enrique has been doing is to bridge that gap. And that gap is what makes all the difference between success and failure when major technological revolutions happen.
So I think about the self-driving cars. And if I could afford one when they come out, I'll buy one. And honestly, if I don't have to drive again, that'd be awesome. I feel like it'll keep me safe, keep my family safe. And I'm not worried about how that's going to affect any jobs. I mean, because, right now I'm the one who's driving the car.
Yeah, but it will.
It will, but I'm not worried about it. Like, I'm not going to get ready for that particular technology to change.
But,
And I'm going to just address the thing you said earlier is having computers read resumes. So I've seen some AI technology because that's what I do is the talent acquisition piece. And I have not seen one that's got it yet. And I think that even I, as a recruiter, have made mistakes where I've looked at someone and I'm like, oh, I don't think they're good, but then we hire them. And I think the reason is that a resume is a horrible metric for who somebody is.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's written, it's one-dimensional. It has no depth, and it really doesn't demonstrate what someone can do. So when I say, okay, I'm going to spend some money on some AI that's going to read my resumes, but it's really not going to perform any better than my recruiters.
What's funny is that today you have AI that can also read videos and can also understand what's happening in the video.
Sure.
So you can have a video interview with a candidate and a machine can analyze the type of things that the candidate's saying, analyze the content, analyze potential skills that are coming out of that interview, and even the emotions that were transmitted when you were talking about that. But I want to backtrack a little bit and because I think the examples are important to exemplify what's happening. And that's, Al was mentioning some of them. Perhaps one more recent example of how we need to be open-minded for what's going to happen in the future is what happened to Nokia. And that's actually how I opened the Hacking HR event about a month ago. I talked about how in 2007, the Forbes magazine described Nokia as the biggest thing ever. And Nokia today is nothing in the smartphone market. After 2007, when the iPhone came out, basically that was the death sentence for Nokia because they didn't adapt too fast, even though it was one of the most innovative companies in the world. And one of the things that happened there is that even if you are innovative, but you are innovative but within your sort of a small box that allows you to sort of expand a little bit, but still within a box, it's going to be very difficult for you to remain relevant. And this happened also to Kodak. I interviewed a few months ago, I interviewed Steven Sasson, the guy who created this digital photography. And he said, well, what happened in Kodak is that I was creating a product with two more people. We saw the potential of this product, but the company didn't see it. And so at the individual level, you may a few individuals within different corporations can be sort of very innovative and very creative, but if somebody else or the company itself is not transforming sort of the way they think and being more open-minded, it's going to be very difficult sort of to remain relevant. And once again, this is not just about you as an individual remaining relevant. It's you as an individual remaining relevant, but at the same time having the possibility to be hired by a company. But if that company hasn't been relevant enough to remain there, it won't be there in the future. It will be bankrupt. So that means that you won't have the possibility, even to find a job, so to speak. So there are different things here, different sort of ways to address this problem.
Sure. I want to kind of distill what you said down because I think it was really important that companies need to see what they do, not as we make cameras, but as, we capture memories, right? The bigger picture. Yeah. And that I, as an individual, need to see what my value is, not as I do this one thing, but what is the value that I provide? Mm-hmm. And then when you broaden that, then I could possibly see then how do I fit into this AI business? Because obviously AI can take over a lot of things that we're doing, right? But the concern I have around, and I welcome it, but my concern is that it's oversold. It's overhyped. Like the web, right? I mean, a lot of things that were going on at the beginning of the web was like, everyone needs a website. nobody knew what to do with the website, but everyone needed a website and was paying a fortune for them. And it wasn't until later where kind of e-commerce became more popular and, social marketing and social media that now it's actually a valuable tool. And I wonder if AI is coming because there's no gating factor to how quick it's going to come. But the application, the adoption, I wonder, is that really going to be there?
But you can argue the opposite, that those who were good in websites and web presence and managing through the internet revolution and introducing new business models were able to create unbelievable value for shareholders, as well as the economy, as well as for for the world.
That's true. But it was actually after the internet, right? So if you're talking about Amazon, until the payment system was put in place and people understood how e-commerce worked, the web was kind of flat and somewhat useless.
Right. And I agree with you that these technologies do get hyped, but the amount of investment, which is an indicator and so, for example, in 2016, CB Inside reports that there were about 650 plus deals with $5 billion of investment going into artificial intelligence. This kind of investment means that there is serious, investment appetite behind that, meaning that people have done their due diligence. That means that at least the technology risk has been, and things can go south. We saw with Internet Revolution, but that doesn't mean that Internet Revolution was not real. Yes, some things were hyped, but that happened in every time you go through these revolutions. Few success stories come out, a lot of investment happens, and we will see that in AI revolution also. But that does not mean that the revolution is not happening or that it will go backwards or, reverse the path. I think that it's pretty much on its way right now. So, and a great example of that is, can it make a difference for us? And in my speeches, I give this very simple example.
Yeah, so I want to talk about the positive differences of AI in a minute.
Sure.
But I want to just kind of make sure that the listener is getting that, look, this stuff is happening, right? Mm-hmm. It's inevitable. And there may be a certain amount of elevation of expectations, right? I mean, as to what's promised, what's delivered, and what the impact is going to be. And I would say that's fair to say because, new things come along and it's like, oh, this is going to be, and then it's, toned down a notch.
That's fair assessment. And maybe we may need to do that at some point, but I would rather have people and our government and in fact global governments prepared rather than thinking of this as hype.
Right, gotcha. We talked about we got to be prepared. We have to be open-minded. We got to think about these 10 things, right? And we have to kind of expand our thinking as to what it is that we really provide as value. So let's talk about some of the upsides. We're going to take a quick break, but I want you to be thinking about the real value in the application of AI that's making a difference. My name is Lorne Epstein. You're listening to the Lorne Epstein Show here on 96.7 FM, Arlington, Virginia. We'll be right back after this break. Last year, I met the folks at Tribe.ai. I spoke to co-founder Naomi Davidson, who just blew me away with her origin story. She grew up in a poor and unstable home, didn't graduate from high school, and pretty much raised herself, doing the best she could. Eventually, she got a job and put herself through community college. Wouldn't you know it, she graduated from Berkeley and got a master's degree in mechanical engineering from MIT. I love personal stories like this. As the global head of strategy at LinkedIn, Naomi shared her methods with others, which was a huge success. She and her partner Thomas are paying it forward so others can succeed in life. They built a learning system in partnership with Stanford and Wharton universities. They know what it's like to create something extraordinary from nothing. Tribe's latest development leads your team through daily, personalized micro-coaching. With an 85% adoption rate, this mobile application has users saying, wow. Get your free month of Tribe today. Go to trybe.ai/Lorne, Lorne, to receive this fantastic deal. Listen to a few of their users to hear for yourself.
Hi, my name is Rebecca Mwonsa. I'm a fourth-year medical student applying to OBGYN residency, and what I love most about Tribe is that it's not magic. It's a coaching tool that empowers you to coach yourself. Even after the course is done, it's like a sharp knife that allows you to sculpt your life perfectly with the vision you intend. But it's your vision, your hand, your time, your sweat.
Hi, my name is Brenda. I'm a director of engineering and program management at Outward. Tribe forces you to think immediate at what you can actually accomplish within the next 24 hours. Therefore, Tribe acts as a guide and helps you map out small, realistic steps in your journey towards the greater change you're aspiring, and helps you to realize and acknowledge your small wins and celebrate them.
Welcome back to the Lorne Epstein Show. I'm your host, Lorne Epstein. You're listening to 96.7 FM, and I'm talking to my guests, Naqvi and Enrique Rubio. We are going to hear now about some of the cool things that are on the horizon. And so, Enrique, tell us about some of the things that are happening in the business space around AI that we can look forward to and what we can expect and what's happened now.
Well, it is expected that in the next less than 10 years, more than $15 trillion will be added to the global economy thanks to artificial intelligence.
How?
By being more productive. And it's perhaps difficult to say, well, how do we think about being more productive when it comes to artificial intelligence? Well, you're going to have the capacity to make better decisions that waste less money for companies. We hopefully, if the government eventually uses artificial intelligence in the tax field, perhaps they might be more precise in the way they tax people. And, so $15 trillion will be added to the economy, to the global economy. That means potentially more jobs, potentially more access to, different services, hopefully education, health, and whatnot. So there are a lot of upsides in this. I'm, of course, afraid that some people might be left behind in this process, which my hope, I think it's Al's hope as well, is that we don't make the same mistakes that the world made in the Industrial Revolution and perhaps in the Internet Revolution, that a lot of people were left behind. People who didn't have the skills, people who didn't catch up fast enough, or people that thought, that's just a hype and it won't happen, and it happened. It took 15, 20 years, but it happened. So, the upsides, I think, are important enough for us as individuals and organizations to start thinking how we're going to have a little bit of that, pie of extra productivity and extra, global outcome that is going to be created in the world. So, but the point here is that perhaps increasing productivity, I think, will be the biggest thing or the biggest way to sell artificial intelligence. And, a lot of people are working more hours today than they did 30 years ago. Will artificial intelligence sort of release some time in people's schedules to do more either creative work or to spend more time with their families, to talk more about work-life integration? Perhaps yes, I don't know. But the upside of artificial intelligence is sort of accelerating the capacity of humans to be more productive. I think that would be sort of the bottom line of how to sell this technology in different areas. And I hope that that's the way we sell it, and that's what ultimately happens.
And Al, what are you seeing right now? I want to talk to me about some of the things that are actually going on today.
So I'll start with a very simple example. And one of the major changes that happened, and I saw my father recently go through that, is when you get to a certain age, and one of the biggest changes that happen is that when you stop driving, for example, and it's such an emotional change that you cannot go out when you want to go out. And we observed that, with so many seniors going through that is, for example, when autonomous cars, you talked about them. What a huge difference it will make for those seniors, being able to go out anytime they want, and and the car doing the job for them. You see tremendous applications in healthcare, being able to take, and if we can get to that point where a lot of diagnostics can be done in an automated way, and even at some level of therapeutic, therapy providing can be done. Can we give healthcare globally to every single person? Because it's automated, we can increase, obviously, access as well as reduce costs. So a person in Africa in a village can go to a room like this and have machines help do all the diagnosis. So and to save patients, for example, predictive modeling that we can do in sepsis, big killer, is that so machine can give you advanced warning within 2 hours warning or so you can do preemptive intervention. We see applications in education. So now we can bring education to every kid in the world, every child in the world, and which works with the child and understands the specific needs of the child. So these are some of the major things, and not to mention that all the traditional business functions like marketing and finance and financial trading that is being done by machines now. So but my focus was more some of the examples I was giving you, and I also run a society, SIMA Society of Artificial Intelligence in Medicine and Healthcare. That will be the biggest area. I think that, we face as a country so many challenges, and I do believe that a lot of solutions to our challenges, both financial as well as technological and healthcare related, will come from artificial intelligence. And I also hope that, cancer, one of the biggest dilemma of our generations, will hopefully be addressed, with artificial intelligence also helping us in finding cures.
So it's 2017. What technology is being used right now that incorporates artificial intelligence that people are experiencing?
Your cell phone, your Siri, for example.
I don't have Siri.
Okay. So whatever,
but Siri is artificial intelligence.
Yes, it is. And I will give you, we have been talking about all the positive things, but I'll give you a great example that sometimes we ignore that big example that came out. So the alleged Russian intervention in our election by using bots.
I don't think it's alleged anymore.
Oh, okay. Well,
But anyway,
your audience could be anywhere, so anyone who may have different views on that. So that's why I was being respectful. But think about that. What are those bots? That's artificial intelligence. Right. So if AI has the power to change the to alter the
perception
impact, the perception of
people think is real,
and the greatest institution of elections and democracy of the greatest and the most powerful country in the world. Imagine the impact.
So we're saying, just so I understand, and we don't have to say if it happened or didn't happen,
right.
But the assertion is that using artificial intelligence, another country set up these ads, use these bots. Mm-hmm. And when you say bots, you mean like robots, to create these ads that used some data input and just kind of continually got better and better and better to create better results in what they were doing.
Exactly. And they they understood what their audience is. They knew how to create that conflict. They knew how to come in and give that opinion or take a position.
So what other examples of AI are people experiencing right now in the business world?
Yeah, there's well, actually, I was going to mention more than the business world. One of the things that I saw a couple of weeks in New York, I can't remember the name of the technology right now, but it's this thing that looks like an Alexa, and it's powered by AI, and is sort of directed to help people that live alone. There's loneliness is a big thing in the world right now, depression and anxiety. So this technology talks to you in the morning, tells you, good morning. It's, easy things, but they are so smart, so intelligent that they understand your entire schedule. They know when you are going to work, when you're off work, when you're supposed to be leaving work, and they start texting you, literally texting you, hey, Enrique, how are you feeling today? Is everything all right? It seems that it's going to rain. Did you get your umbrella? Meaningless things like that, but that for a big chunk of the world population that feels or lives alone, those applications will help them to avoid perhaps depression or, committing suicide and whatnot. This also applies for the elderly population. Many years ago, I heard that they had in Israel one of the biggest problems that they had is that the elder population spending time by themselves, sometimes they would die in their houses and nobody would know that was happening. So they had set up like a volunteering sort of machinery where people were calling these elders to ask them how they were doing, sort of to find out if they were all right or not. Those type of things can be done by machines now, and it's already happening in this technology that I mentioned before is in Japan. So, we have a real application that can save people from committing suicide or from being depressed, which also sort of impacts the healthcare system, the cost of the healthcare. So, it's unbelievable the amount of applications that you can have in AI. And talking about bots again, bots are not robots. Like it's not a Terminator. It's a software bot. It's a software robot. And right now you have bots that talk to you. If you go to a website and you start talking to somebody who's helping you to resolve a problem, most likely you're talking to a bot. That means that you're not talking to a person anymore, but you're talking to a machine that understands who you are, what you need, and what type of solutions to whatever problem you're posing at the moment, you may have. So once again, that increases productivity because you don't need, a call center with 1,000 people to respond, banking questions, for example. You can have bots doing that type of work, and that's already happening. By the way, it's this is not a futuristic thing. It's already happening. Yeah.
So what are some of the things that that people can watch out for if, I mean, we're talking about bots that could be changing elections, and who knows how these bots or other artificial intelligence can harm us. What are some of the things that we need to keep our eyes open for?
Obviously, from cybersecurity perspective, a huge challenge will be managing smart systems that may not have good intentions. So we need to.
We have computers managing computers.
Of course, we would have to have that and first, second, third defense shields essentially against these cyber attacks. And but in terms of the most important thing, I think, that applies to people, and yes, all of these things will be managed by very, very smart people and engineers and scientists, but not every one of us can become a machine learning expert. But what we can do is to understand the transition needed from us. As I mentioned before, I repeat that, is that people need to understand within the context of their profession and their specialization what they do, how can they become a better user of this technology, become adopt this technology as quickly as they can. And in my introduction, you said the word. You said that I believe in responsible adoption of technology. The word responsible it emphasizes the ethical use of technology. So yes, we have to adopt it, but at the same time, we have to make sure that its applications and our intention of use and the way we use this technology is ethical. So that's responsible adoption. And we have to do it at individual level. Right. We have to do it at corporate level. We have to do it at government level.
And so what do you think the government should be doing about preparing us for AI?
Oh, absolutely. That's the most important questions. And I think that, we need to start training people now, both in terms of starting at school level, technology programs that teach students at a high school level, even going before that. And we need focus on sciences and mathematics, obviously, that we know, and technology. But to start that realignment of career for non-technical people, awareness as well as education, we need to have schools, those kind of schools built now. We have seen countries, for example, India is a great example that anticipated technological revolution coming in 20, 30 years before it actually happened, the IT revolution. And they opened schools all over India, and they made such a tremendous difference for their country. And so we don't repeat the scenario that we did with manufacturing, in which we lost all these jobs, and 30 years later, now we're sitting and saying, well, you know what? We have all these plants that are shut down in Midwest, and what do we do with, all these people? We should take that preemptive approach. today. We need to start opening schools that realign, create awareness, train people both on the technology side as well as technology use side. How can you become a better user of technology? And those schools need to be everywhere, not just in major cities, but they need to be in rural America also.
Awesome. So, Al, we're running out of time. Al, how can people reach out to you if they want to?
You can go to our website, which is americanai.com, you can find contact information on that. Awesome. americanai.com.
And Enrique, how can folks reach out to you?
Just my LinkedIn, Enrique Rubio.
Enrique Rubio. Yeah. And so, last parting thoughts. What can we do in the next year to a couple of steps? What can we do to make ourselves prepared?
Number one, stay informed, stay educated about the technological changes that are happening right now. Be open-minded that this is unstoppable. There's no way to stop this revolution, and making sure that we keep our government accountable for talking about this thing.
Absolutely, I agree with him. No excuses on anyone's part. We need to make sure that we keep everyone accountable for making sure that we build this technology for the betterment of our country and for the entire world. And we can, start taking by educating ourselves.
Awesome. Guys, thank you so much. This was really informative, and I really appreciate it. Thank you. My name is Lorne Epstein. I'm the host of the Lorne Epstein Show here on 96.7 FM, Arlington, Virginia. We'll see you next week, Monday, 10 a.m., here on 96.7 FM. And now a word from our generous and good-looking sponsors. You don't want to miss Beyond HR Forum, being held June 11th and 12th, 2020 in Amsterdam, where you will meet inspiring, forward-looking, and impactful leaders in human resources. Once again, the team at Beyond has selected a great venue, the historic Kramhauthal. It reflects their values of designing a unique space and atmosphere that brings forth intimacy, collaboration, inspiration, and partnership with HR thought leaders from leading companies around the world. The forum moves beyond the current HR to guide you along a journey that progressive leaders in HR are invited to embark upon. Join remarkable guests as they share their insights on how to make humanity the ultimate value to organizations, societies, and the world. This is more than just an event. It's a one-of-a-kind opportunity to inspire your thinking to go beyond and reach the unreachable. For more information and to register, please visit www.beyondhrforum.com. Last year, I met the folks at Tribe.ai. I spoke to co-founder Naomi Davidson, who just blew me away with her origin story. She grew up in a poor and unstable home, didn't graduate from high school, and pretty much raised herself, doing the best she could. Eventually, she got a job and put herself through community college. Wouldn't you know it, she graduated from Berkeley and got a master's degree in mechanical engineering from MIT. I love personal stories like this. As the global head of strategy at LinkedIn, Naomi shared her methods with others, which was a huge success. She and her partner Thomas are paying it forward so others can succeed in life. They built a learning system in partnership with Stanford and Wharton universities. They know what it's like to create something extraordinary from nothing. Tribe's latest development leads your team through daily, personalized micro-coaching. With an 85% adoption rate, this mobile application has users saying, wow. Get your free month of Tribe today. Go to trybe.ai/Lorne, L-O-R-N-E, to receive this fantastic deal. Listen to a few of their users to hear for yourself.
Hi, my name is Rebecca Mwonsa. I'm a fourth-year medical student applying to OBGYN residency, and what I love most about Tribe is that it's not magic. It's a coaching tool that empowers you to coach yourself. Even after the course is done, it's like a sharp knife that allows you to sculpt your life perfectly with the vision you intend. But it's your vision, your hand, your time, your sweat.
Hi, my name is Brenda. I'm a director of engineering and program management at Outward. Tribe forces you to think immediate at what you can actually accomplish within the next 24 hours. Therefore, Tribe acts as a guide and helps you map out small, realistic steps in your journey towards the greater change you're aspiring, and helps you to realize and acknowledge your small wins and celebrate them.
If you want to sell more to HR and TA professionals, we can help you bring your brand into the ears of over 100,000 decision makers around the world. To advertise on this and other shows, contact us at lorne@lorneepstein.com. Hey, thanks so much for listening to the show. Do me a favor and subscribe to the show on your preferred podcast player. You can get us on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, and Google Play. And be sure to catch us on YouTube. Thanks.
The Lorne Epstein Show was produced and hosted by Lorne Epstein. Our show engineer and music creator is Afate Odai. This show is also copywritten by Electric Cow.